New Mexico's Department of Justice is searching Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro ranch right now as part of a criminal probe into the property. The files accuse Epstein of abusing women and girls there, and there's even an allegation that he ordered the bodies of two girls to be buried nearby. But despite all that, the property was never fully investigated the way that Epstein's other homes were. That is, until now. But also, you have officials being upfront about what they're up against. Where you're the state's attorney general recently writing an op-ed laying it out, saying, I want to be honest about the challenges ahead. Epstein has been dead for years. Zorro Ranch has changed ownership. Physical evidence may no longer exist, and the statute of limitations is likely run on many potential offenses. These are real obstacles, and survivors deserve to hear them stated plainly. But then adding, we will follow the evidence wherever it leads and leave no credible question unexplored. With them also promising to release a public report of all the findings, and you had the DOJ asking the public to stay away from the area and ground any drones nearby to avoid interfering with the operation. Now, as far as the ownership change, the estate sold back in 2023, and this year we actually learned it's now in the hands of a Texas real estate mogul who's actually just won the Republican primary for Texas comptroller. And he's promised full cooperation, calling the search a welcome step toward truth and justice. But also, since the property changed hands years after Epstein's death, you have the question of, what evidence is actually going to still be there? You also have state lawmakers urging that no stone be left unturned, and they've even shared a tip line for anyone with information on crimes that Epstein and his associates committed in New Mexico. Now, also with this situation over the weekend, you had a major rally being held outside of the ranch to coincide with International Women's Day. And among those who showed up, you had the brothers of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, one of the most vocal Epstein survivors until she died of a reported suicide last year. And they demanded that the DOJ release the full files, including the names of the men that Virginia alleged abused her in New Mexico. And there's this growing sense among survivors and advocates that these state-level investigations might actually be the real turning point in the Epstein case, especially because a lot of people have lost faith in how the federal government's handling it. I mean, many out there, they believe that the DOJ is running a cover-up. And actually, on that note, after enormous public pressure, the DOJ did end up releasing previously withheld documents containing allegations against Trump. In a series of FBI interviews from 2019, you had a woman claiming that she was sexually assaulted by Epstein and Trump when she was a teenager. She also claimed that Epstein blackmailed her mother for years after the alleged abuse, but also the documents don't say whether the FBI found the claims credible or what they did to verify them. And so, while understandably, a lot of the focus right now has been on Iran, and there are massive implications there. Between these allegations, the New Mexico search, and the constant stream of headlines that are still happening along with Iran at the same time, it still seems like there's a lot of energy to finding out more from this, and there are a lot of paths for lawmakers and investigators to go down in this case. And actually, with all this, you had Representative Ro Khanna writing last night, I will not relent until the files are released and we have investigations and prosecutions.
Look, here's why people shouldn't give up hope, because when people cover it, when journalists make a big deal of it, then suddenly Pam Bondi relents and then we get 10,000 more files, 40,000 more files. So we need to just be on this until we can get a judge to order the release of the rest of the files.
And that's really the core of it, right? The DOJ didn't release those Trump documents because they suddenly decided transparency was a priority. They released them because public pressure got too loud to ignore. Public outcry. It works. Media coverage. It works. It could be slow, it could be frustrating, it can feel like slamming your head against a wall. Then sometimes you shake something loose. Then sometimes you crack it, and all of a sudden you start seeing a little bit of a spotlight breaking through. And so one of the questions with everything, but especially this, is whether people keep their focus on it long enough for it to actually matter. Or does, the next news cycle just bury it? Right? Because every week that goes by without full transparency, it's another week that the people, not the survivors, but all the other people who were in those files get to live like nothing ever happened. I think people are just sick and tired of living in a world where there's no accountability.